as we continue on counting down. What are we counting down? I don't know. We're counting down the list of stories that we have to talk about here on Student of the Gun Radio. And I am still your host, Professor Paul Markle, and we are broadcasting from the Glass Case of Emotion Studios. And the Glass Case of Emotion Studios happens to be at, where's it located, Jared? It's located at Student of the Gun University.
SOTGU.
SOTGU, that's right. We should start giving out scholarships. That's what we should do.
Oh, speaking of which.
Okay.
Speaking of SOTGU, I sent out, or maybe I posted on the Student of the Gun University Facebook page, that we're going to be opening up here, and it'll be probably late April or May, or late May or June. I don't remember which one. We're looking at a couple different dates here. But it's going to be in the beginning of the summer, and we're going to open up a special Beyond the Band-Aid class that we're only going to make available to 10 people. And if you want to get on the waiting list, send me an email or post it somewhere.
Send it to you, Jarrad.
Yeah, Jarrad at studentofthegun.com. Or you can send it to the Student of the Gun Facebook page, because I check those too. But get a hold of me. Let me know that you're interested and you want to get on the waiting list. That way, when we do release the class, I'll send it to you first to give you the opportunity to reserve a seat.
And that's going to be here at the home studios, at the home in Biloxi.
It is.
At Student of the Gun University on the glorious Gulf Coast. And I'm back into my, I know we talk about the weather, but what the hell? I'm back into my wool, folks. I was, we were back in T-shirts 2 days ago, and now we're back into our wools. So probably by the time you hear this, we may be back into our T-shirts again. I don't know. So how's it going out there in the country? We've heard that the people of Kentucky are having avalanches and having to shovel themselves out of snowdrifts. Wherever you are, I got to think, or I would hope, that this show is like a warm, snuggly blanket, that it makes you feel comfortable wherever you are.
Speaking of being comfortable, I was very humbled on Friday by you guys. I sent out the bonus hour a little bit later than I usually do, and I had a lot of emails in my inbox, and I'm sure that Dad had some, but we had people using the hashtag SOTGaddict. So, yeah. You guys that are in the part of the grad program are awesome. Thank you for that.
Well, we hope that you grad program guys enjoyed the interview. Obviously, we had to. We got Ken on the phone. We recorded the interview. Jared edited the interview into the bulk of the show, and then we continued on. So
I might let that out to you guys, to the public, this week sometime. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. Depends on what happens and what's going on, because there's so much to talk about. Holy horse hockey. Sweet Buddha on a rubber raft if we have a story for you today. But before we get into the story, we want to let you know that the following segment of Student of the Gun Radio is brought to you by Brownells. Serious about firearms since 1939. And if you own a gun, Brownells has something for you. And even if you don't own a gun, they still have something for you. So check them out at brownells.com. And don't forget about our friends at Velocity Triggers, designed for precision. If you have a black rifle and you want to do competition, long-range shooting, hunting, anything that will require you to have a well-made precision match-grade type trigger in your gun, Velocity Triggers has a trigger for you. Matter of fact, they have several different options to choose from, so check them out at velocitytriggers.com. Now, Jared, we're going to go ahead and get into the bulk of the story here, the main story. No more nonsense and screwing around. Essentially, what we've got in the world, but in the United States of America, we currently have an administration that, in addition to being a complete and total national embarrassment, apparently has no desire to provide security for or protect the embassies, consulates, or ambassadors of the United States of America. And we witnessed this again last week as the U.S. ambassador to South Korea. And you say, well, it's just South Korea, I mean, what's going on over there in the Korean area? I mean, there's no threats or anything like that. I mean, certainly it's not a security risk being 50 miles away from the North Korean border or wherever they happen to be. There's no risk there, is there, Jared? I mean, this is like a guy having a security job in Switzerland or an ambassador's job in Switzerland.
Of course.
And sadly, I think that maybe a lot of you out there in the audience may not have heard about this because, well, number one, the ambassador fortunately did not die, but number two, no guns were involved. Now, if the ambassador, Jared, do you believe that if the ambassador would have been shot or shot at, that this would be nonstop, continuous news cycle because a firearm was used?
Probably.
But see, and that would be the kind of the conundrum that the mainstream news would have to go through. Is like, we hate guns, and any opportunity we can use to show the world how guns are evil, unless they're in the hands of the state, we'll do that. But at the same time, when we do that, we have to admit that the current administration, that the people that are trying to run the show, apparently are almost completely and totally inept. And they're so worried about setting themselves up, ingratiating themselves, getting all the goodies they can before the ship sinks, that they don't cover basic things, really super, super basic things like providing bodyguards or executive protection to our ambassadors. So essentially, we have a story right here. There's lots of, there are many news sources. The source that we have in front of us is from Reuters.com. And the title of the story is Knife-Wielding Attacker Slashes Face of U.S. Ambassador in South Korea. This actually happened on Thursday, March 5th. But it's important that we discuss this. And as somebody who has spent a considerable amount of time providing executive protection to various sundry individuals, I have some very strong opinions about what went down and essentially the mistakes that were made and how this is something that should never actually happen. Not just the attack itself. You can't stop people from committing an attack, but you can make it really difficult on them. And from what I've seen here, we didn't make it difficult. Now, Jared's got he's got the story over there. He's got an actual an audio clip, and we're going to listen to the audio clip. And after that plays, I'm going to go ahead and comment on it. So if we're ready, kid, go ahead and play it.
New video shows the U.S. ambassador to South Korea moments after he was slashed in the face.
Maverick, take that.
Mark Lippert was at a forum in Seoul to discuss Korean reunification when police say Kim Ki-jong attacked him with a knife.
I need an ambulance fast. Get me to the hospital. Okay.
Doctors say Lippert suffered an 11-centimeter gash across his face that required 80 stitches.
You guys gotta stop this bleeding here. Yeah.
He also suffered a puncture wound on his wrist, which his doctors say caused nerve damage that was repaired in surgery. The U.S. Embassy's Robert Ogburn says Lippert is recovering well.
The ambassador is awake and in good spirits, and he wishes to convey how appreciative he is of the well wishes from President Park.
The assailant, 55-year-old Kim, is being described as a Korean nationalist. Police say the attack was a protest against joint U.S.-South Korean military drills that began this week. It wasn't Kim's first run-in with a foreign dignitary. In 2010, he tried to attack the Japanese ambassador to South Korea by throwing a piece of concrete. Across the border in North Korea, the response was not surprising. The official KCNA news agency says the attack is, quote, deserved punishment for the warmongering United States.
This is Last Grossman. Who is this?
This is Flaming Dragon!
Oh, okay, Flaming Dragon. Face. First, take a big step back and literally
Your own face!
Now, I don't know what kind of pan-Pacific bullshit power play you're trying to pull here, but Asia, Jack, is my territory. So whatever you're thinking, you better think again. Otherwise, I'm going to have to head down there, and I will rain down on a godly firestorm upon you. You're going to have to call the United Nations and get a binding resolution to keep me from destroying you. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will you up.
Well, all right then. I think Asia, we need to send Les Grossman over there because apparently the current administration is so flaccid and weak that they have nothing to say and nothing to do. All right, let's break this down here. So we have a United States ambassador who is attacked by a nut job. They call him a Korean nationalist. Yeah, he's a North Korean sympathizer. Let's go ahead and knock that out of the park right now. We have a North Korean sympathizer, and in the story, in the written story, it says in 2010, Kim, strange name for a Korean, tried to attack the Japanese ambassador to South Korea by throwing a piece of concrete and was given a suspended jail term. Way to go, South Korean justice system. Good job. Good job. Way to keep this pro-North Korean whack job off of the streets. So here we have the United States ambassador to South Korea, who apparently is in a public forum or a public area where just anyone off the street can walk up and approach him, apparently. They don't have site security, just basic rent-a-cop type dudes to stop this guy. There's no one controlling access to the ambassador. Now, you say, yeah, but Paul, American presidents have been assassinated. They have, and they've been shot. Yes, they have. And what happens the millisecond after the president is attacked? The Secret Service swarms into action, and they whisk them away, right? And this, of course, is with guns. Yes, I know there was an American president that was stabbed. But this was, they were whisked away, in the back of they're thrown, like when Reagan was shot by Hinckley, they put him in that limousine, and boom, he was gone. Like within seconds, Reagan was in the limousine, gone, on the way to the hospital. If you listen to the video, you hear the ambassador's voice telling his Korean aides or what have you, the Korean natives that are helping him. He's telling them, you need to get me to the hospital. All right, stop for 1 second. Let's go ahead and address that. When the person who's in the victim has to tell the people around him, I need you to help to get me to the hospital. What? That tells me that there was no professional security team present. Because if there was a professional security team, okay, let's say there's a breakdown and the ambassador gets attacked. If there's a professional security team present, they jump into action, they spring into action, and they whisk this guy away. He's into a car, he's gone, he's on his way to the hospital. He's not walking around holding a handkerchief to his face saying, hey, can you guys take me to a hospital? What? This is insanity. Do you folks understand? I know. I have to dumb things down sometimes because the United States of America has been so dumbed down. But you guys understand how international treaties work, correct? You understand how we have embassies in the United States for other countries and how other countries allow us to put our embassies in their nations. And this goes back hundreds upon hundreds of years, where states, nation states have mutual agreements where you host our embassy, and that is our territory within your country, right? And the United States Embassy within the borders of South Korea or Japan or wherever it happens to be. That is considered to be sovereign United States territory, even if it's only like 4 acres or what have you. And the same thing goes with Japan or Germany or Italy or even Russia. We have, even during the Cold War, we had a Russian embassy. USSR had an embassy here. And it was considered sovereign property of the USSR within the United States borders. So you've got the embassy, and who is in charge of the embassy? Well, you have this guy or a girl called an ambassador. And the ambassador is the living embodiment. They are the persona. They are the representative of the nation state in that country, wherever it happens to be. So essentially, this attack is not just an attack on an individual person. This is a direct attack against the United States of America. There's no difference as far as legality, as far as the embassies, ambassadors, consulates. Like if we were to go, for instance, to any country in the world, pick one, I don't care. You can go to Switzerland, and an American citizen murders the German ambassador to Switzerland. That is no different than someone attacking or killing the prime minister of Germany. You understand that, right? I know they're different people, but this person is the living embodiment of the nation. He's the representative of the United States of America in South Korea. Pretty important job, correct? I mean, would you guys agree with me? So if you have a person who is that important, he is the representative of the president of the entire country, do you think it might be a good idea to provide him with a little bit of security? You think that might be? Or is it not in the budget? What do you think, Jared?
Well, they are cutting the Homeland Security, so they're trying to cut the budget on that, or at least threatening
That's
to.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's the nation's Gestapo agency, and they're never going to purposely defund the nation's Gestapo. Folks, we have become the United States of America. Comrade Barry Soetoro, he swore he was going to fundamentally transform us, fundamentally change us, and he's been doing it. And everyone's afraid because they don't want to be, they don't want to be accused of being a racist. So we're just going to let this communist sympathizer, we're just going to let this closet Muslim do anything he wants to destroy the image of the United States in the eyes of the world. If you were in Germany, if you were in any country in the world, any country, I almost said United States there, and you were gazing out at the United States of America and the reaction of the United States of America after our ambassador and others were murdered in Libya. The consulate burned to the ground, the ambassador dragged through the streets and murdered, as well as 3 other Americans. And Jared, refresh my memory. What was what military response did we have to the murdering of our ambassador and the destruction of the consulate within the borders of Libya? What was the military response?
What military response?
Oh, that's right. There wasn't one. We had a press conference to say how upset we were and how
that we shouldn't have published a video of.
Yeah, and
that
then
was so stupid.
And then we came up with a butt covering story. What do you suppose the butt covering story for this is going to be? Well, Kim Jong, or not? No, I'm sorry. His name's not Kim Jong. It's Kim Ki Jong. So it's not Kim Jong Il or Kim Jong Un. It's Kim Ki Jong here. So do you suppose Kim Ki Jong watched a video on YouTube and was really upset and decided he had to attack the American ambassador? It was just a spontaneous outburst from Kim Ki Jong, and he was so angry over the YouTube video that he watched that he had to attack our ambassador. Oh, man. Folks, I don't even know what to say to you. I'm so embarrassed for this nation. I want to go out to other countries and say, we're sorry. Please forgive us. This is a national embarrassment. It is a 100% national embarrassment. Not that someone would attack one of our ambassadors, but the fact that the ambassador is just walking around essentially naked with no security detail. A single knife-wielding attacker, that's like Bodyguard 101. That is super simplistic stuff. The bodyguard should be the one that gets knifed. And as somebody who has been a bodyguard, I know that's how it works. This guy, you should never be able to get to the ambassador. And if you do make a lunge for the ambassador, you should be taken out by the security. The fact that there was obviously no security there. And that's the question. the Hagatha, she freaking resigned after the Benghazi thing so she could formulate her new strategy to take over the United States. So we've got the vaunted John Kerry, who was a decorated Vietnam veteran, even though he threw his medals over the wall of the White House in protest, and the White House fence in protest. Don't ever forget that. He's a traitor. But that's what you get in modern America. You are a traitor, but then when your peace, love, dope, hippie, liberal friends come into power, well, then they take you along with them.
Dude, talking about this makes me think of, have you watched any of the House of Cards that's on Netflix?
No, I can't stand it. I can't stand Kevin Spacey. I just punch him in the face.
I mean, it's pretty accurate to the way politics are run. It's kind of weird.
So it's like sickening that we know that that's how it is and we allow it to happen?
Yep.
Okay. So, so what's Lurch going to say about this? What's the excuse? Because when it comes down to it, you can't punt. You can't put this off on someone else. You know, when they failed to provide security for the ambassador in Libya, we know that they didn't provide security because they didn't want to offend the host nation by putting hard chargers, by putting Marines around them, by putting hardcore security personnel. So they hired local indigenous people who just dropped their rifles and ran.
That sounds familiar.
Or joined in with the group. So what's the excuse after? And it's only been a couple of years. You know, that was on 9/11/2012, right?
Yeah. So
9/11/2015 hasn't happened yet. So we're talking less than 3 years since one of our ambassadors was tortured and murdered in the streets of a foreign country. And apparently security for our ambassadors is not really a top concern. It's not really high on the concerns list. Oh, folks, are you angry? Are you annoyed? Are you disgusted by this? I am, and I hope you are too. And I want you to ask this question to yourself: am I a student of the gun? Is this the first time you've heard about this? Has this story been played over and over and over again? You know what, Jared? I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I don't have cable television in my house. And with Harrison Ford's plane crashing less than 24 hours after this happened, do we want to bet money that the Harrison Ford plane crash story overshadowed the story of the United States ambassador being attacked in a foreign country, and the fact that apparently the United States of America has become so weak, so flaccid, so ineffectual that we can't even provide a 2-person security team for... Jared, if you were with someone that got slashed across the face, would you be able to apply immediate traumatic first aid to that person?
I would.
Or would you just pull a handkerchief out of your pocket and hold it to their face?
Well, if I was with the person, then they probably wouldn't have got slashed in the face in the first place. But if, in the case that they did, yes, I could definitely apply traumatic first aid immediately.
Every graduate of the Beyond the Band-Aid class would have had the training and the skill and the ability to apply immediate action traumatic care to this guy on the spot. Boom. Stabilization.
Yep, they would have had the equipment and the ability.
Yeah, and if they're smart, if they would have the equipment on them, well, we give them the equipment when they come to the class. But, folks, this is ridiculous. It's disgusting. It makes me sad. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the fact that North Korea is so emboldened. Do you understand that? The circumstances that surround a statement by an official statement from North Korea.
Was it North or South?
North, you knucklehead.
It was North?
Yeah, it wasn't South Korea. South Korea didn't put out an official statement that this is what we get. It was North Korea. But they're so emboldened that they can poke us with a stick and say, that's what you get for being warmongers. If we were really warmongers, as people accuse us of being as North Koreans, wouldn't North Korea be a smoking hole in the ground if we were really warmongers like they say we are? Dude, you haven't seen Warmonger. I think we probably should show them Warmonger. But I don't
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't even know what to say. Are you sick of it yet, America? Are you sick of it?
Dude.
Oh, stop the presses. Stop. Right now. Everything's okay. Everything is okay. Do you know how I know everything is going to be okay? Because U.S. State Department spokeswoman Marie Harf, the one who thinks that we just need to give ISIS jobs, that's why they hate us, is because they don't have enough jobs. Here's her statement. We strongly condemn this act of violence. Oh, and through a spokesperson, Comrade Barry it stated that Comrade Barry called Lippert to wish him a speedy recovery. What? What?
He was probably playing golf, so he didn't want to leave his golf.
He was like on the 13th tee, and someone handed him a mobile phone and said, "Hey, here's a sat phone. Call this dude."
He was probably assisting one of his dude friends getting a hole-in-one or something.
Are you kidding me? A speedy recovery? When someone has gallbladder surgery, you call them and wish them a speedy recovery. When someone has, they need to have their not intestines, their what did Houdini die of? The thing, Jared, on the end of your intestines. Give it to me. Appendix. Okay. Somebody has appendix surgery. Yeah, you didn't help at all, you turd. You call them and wish them a speedy recovery. If you're the president of the United States of America and one of your ambassadors has been attacked and hospitalized in a foreign nation, you call to wish them a speedy recovery? Did he go to the drugstore and pick out a nice card too? Is he going to mail him a card? What is President Obama's reaction? Marie Harp. He went down to Walgreens and he picked out a really tasteful get well soon card. Did he send him balloons and a little teddy bear too? What in the world is going on? Is this like the Twilight Zone I'm living in? Oh, I expect, and Ben Rhodes, official Obama's deputy national security advisor, said, I don't see any exact quotes from Comrade Barry in here. Apparently, Comrade Barry couldn't be bothered to address this situation because apparently he didn't need to get out and, carry the water for his Islamic brothers, for Ishmael. So he didn't feel the need to go to the microphone to tell us how. Now, hold on now. Before we get on our high horse and start condemning Mr. Kim Ji-jong here and his fruit knife, before we do that, let's remember there's plenty of Americans that have attacked people with knives. So, we just can't blanket condemn people here. Folks, I don't even know what else to say about this. But the good news is that State Department spokesbabe Marie Harf has condemned this act of violence. So there you go. The act of violence has been condemned. Therefore, we need to speak of it no more. All right, the next segment of Student of the Gun Radio is going to be brought to you by Excess Sights and SWAT Fuel. But before we do that, all right, Excess Sights, the fastest sights in any light, and SWAT Fuel, engineered for performance or something like that. SWAT Fuel, fuel for the body, fuel up. Check them out at SWATfuel.com. Use the promo code SOTG2014. Save yourself a whopping 20%. And that is righteous. 20% is righteous.
It is
That's
righteous.
10% more than you save by listening to that other radio show out there that we're not going to talk about.
If you order a product from Student of the Gun store, studentofthegungear.com, if you're in there and you're ordering something, you can add a packet of SWAT Fuel, of the sample pack, just to try it out, and you use the code SOTG Radio, and you also save 20% on the SWAT Fuel.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, so it's like almost getting it for free.
Yep.
And I've got in my show notes here that we're supposed to remind people about the upcoming NRA annual meetings in Nashville, Tennessee. And Jared and I were talking about this off air earlier, and he said, do you think it would be a good idea to promote or premiere or kick off the AAFU at the NRA annual meeting, and that's going to be April 10th to the 12th in Nashville. So it's coming up pretty quick here, guys. When you're listening to this, it's going to be basically 1 month away. So start making your plans today. What do you guys think? You think that'd be a good time to kind of kick off the AAFU? Hopefully the shirt, it would be really cool if the shirts were ready before then, and we could have people walking around the
with
NRA
the shirts,
meetings.
that's the plan right now.
With the AAFU shirts on.
We signed an agreement with our buddy Jeremy, and he's currently working on getting the products produced, and I'm going to be working on the website this weekend a little bit.
And I've got a question for you guys. Do you want to what do we say, Jared? We 2 years ago at the NRA in Houston, we had a get-together. We had a get-together, and I don't know how many fans, a dozen or so, 20, 30 fans came out. We were brand new. Matter of fact, we were less than 2 months old, weren't we? Yeah, we were. 2 years ago, because this month,
because we started.
Holy crap! Do you realize that next week is our 2nd-year anniversary?
Yeah,
is our 2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So when we had the get together at the NRA meeting in Houston, we were this show was only about a month old, maybe a little more, and it was cool. We got to meet some people, and I guess our question to you as an audience, as a student of the gun audience, is number one, are you going? Are you folks out there, or who out there in the listening audience is planning to attend the NRA annual meetings in Nashville this year? And it's easy. Just if you want to let us know, just go to either the Twitter or the Facebook and just type in a comment and say NRA yes. And then
I have an idea.
And then we'll know.
I have an idea. I'll do one better. We'll leave it up to you guys if you're on Facebook, and you should be, just to follow us. But if you're on Facebook, create an event for the Student of the Gun meetup. Create an event, and if you can get 25 to 50 people that are going to that event, then let's do it.
You're going to put it in their hands.
Yep, it's in your hands. Well, I mean, the AAFU thing, that kind of just it ended up in your hands. And
yeah, we just created it. We just spit it out here on the radio, and bam, it happened. Do you want to do a live book signing event at NRA annual meeting? If we want to do that, we're going to have to. I guess
maybe
here. Do you guys want that? Is that something that you folks want? If you do, let us know and we'll make it happen. How's that sound?
There we go. We can do the Student of the Gun books and the Patriot Fire Team books.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. The Patriot Fire Team is the new book. All right, and if they're not going to the meeting, can they still get a book? Can they still get a signed book if they don't go to the meeting?
Yeah, just go to studentofthegungear.com and order your book. You can get a digital download, or you can get an autographed signed copy of a paperback book.
A dead tree version. That's right.
Dead tree version.
Oh, the dead tree version is kind of cool because you can hold on to it and you can
like highlight and write notes. And stuff. Yeah,
and we want you to do that. If you read my books, I want you to brew a fresh pot of quality coffee, because life is too short to drink cheap junk coffee. It just is. Light yourself up a fine quality hand-rolled cigar. Women are invited as well. Grab a highlighter and a pencil and get ready to take notes. I will not be offended if you take notes in the margins. Matter of fact, I'll be offended if you don't take notes in the margins. How's that sound? Does it work for you? All right. The people in Canada just will not stop with their crazy socialist nonsense. And if they're going to keep doing it, we're going to keep pointing it out. But, of course, if we're going to talk about Canada, that we have to kick it off with our Canadian update theme. This story actually has an airport in it. We're talking about an airport. And if we're going to talk about an airport in Canada, and we're going to use Geddy Lee, and that was Geddy Lee taken off there, we might want to drop in the YYZ, because people in Canada don't pronounce the letter Z, they pronounce the letter ZZ. How many of you out there have ever been stirring your coffee and end up tapping the beginning of YYZ on the edge of your coffee cup? I might be guilty of that, maybe. All right, story is, this comes to us from ctvnews.ca, which, of course, is in the Great White North. And it says, man charged for refusing to give border guards his phone password. Now, you're saying, now what now? His phone password? I can see him like, what's that in your hand there, eh? It's a mobile phone, eh? It's an iPhone. Is that the iPhone 5, eh? What's that all about? I don't know. You know, that really torques people off in Canada when funny. I say a boot.
Every Canadian that I've heard sounds like that.
They say a boot?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this actually happened. And we've got an audio clip. Jared's going to go ahead and play the audio clip, and then we're going to dive into it. And while I'm talking about it, he's going to see if he can't come up with the YYZ for us, just because it's fun.
Every Canadian who travels and owns a smartphone should pay attention to this story. A Quebec man has been charged for refusing to provide his cell phone password to Canadian Customs. It happened Monday night at Stanfield International in Halifax. What exactly is the law when it comes to what is on your phone? CTV's Amanda Blitz might be helpful. She's here.
You know what, Dan? I wish I could play law professor right now and give you the answer of whether or not a password is fair game or not, but it appears the law's a little gray when it comes to this particular situation. Listen to one expert, what he had to say.
So this is a really unsettled kind of area because we've got a Customs Act that dates back several years, certainly years before electronic devices were anticipated.
All right, so he mentions the Customs Act, and under that act, Alain Philippon, a 38-year-old man from Quebec, was charged with Section 153.1 for obstructing border officials at the Halifax-Stanfield International Airport. He was coming home from a trip abroad, and when he refused to give his BlackBerry password, he was arrested. His phone has since been seized, and now he has a court date for May 12th. He's out on bail. If he's found guilty, he could be looking at a minimum of a $1,000 fine to a maximum of $25,000 and even jail time. Now, in an email to CTV, the Canada Border Services Agency says Philippon refused to divulge the passcode for his cell phone, preventing border service officers from their duties. And it goes on to say officers are trained in examination, investigative, and questioning techniques. To divulge our approach may render our techniques ineffective. Officers are trained to look for indicators of deception and use a risk management approach in determining which goods may warrant a closer look. Now, the Supreme Court of Canada has been clear recently that a cell phone is not like a suitcase or a purse, which you bring often to an airport, because a phone has access to an enormous amount.
That's just too cool. I'm sorry. I could not go on with a Canadian airport story without YYZ. And that is the airport code for Toronto Pearson International Airport, for all you hip cats out there that were not aware of that. And, of course, Rush is from Canada and Toronto. But let's get back into this Canadian craziness. Those frozen brain Canadians, continuing on with the story, says, Canadian border officials, in Halifax, charged a man after he refused to hand over the passcode for his smartphone. And some of you reasonable people out there, all of you reasonable people, have already said, well, what's the big deal, Paul? I mean, you got to make sure people aren't smuggling drugs inside of their smartphones. You know, someone could hollow out a smartphone and it could just be the smartphone shell, and it could be filled with heroin or something. And if you come into the United States, they could pull you aside and they could make you turn on your phone and turn on your laptop to make sure that they're actual functioning products. I'm like, okay. So they make you turn on your laptop. They make you turn on your phone. And they see that, okay, it is a functioning phone. It is a functioning laptop. Do they have the right or the authority? What exactly are they looking for? What exactly are you looking for in the history of my phone or my iPad or my laptop or whatever? So we turn on the phone. We have a smartphone here. We turn it on. It lights up the little dancing colors. The bright colors come on, and depending on whatever it is, what service, the little logo pops up. And okay, so the phone is functional. Do you want to take the back off of the phone and check the battery and all that? And you want to make sure that it's not filled with heroin or C4 or something. Okay, great. Why do you think that you need access to my call history or my email history or my browser history? Why do you think you need that? What part of national security is found in my browser history? Do you have a warrant? Do you have reasonable suspicion to believe that I have just committed a crime? Have you gone before a magistrate and gotten a warrant to search my private property, which is what my laptop and my iPhone and my iPad are? Or are you just being a Gestapo agent and it's because I said so? And here's the bottom line right here. I'm going to give you the bottom line up front. These clowns are a bunch of overbearing Gestapo-type gangsters, and when they don't like to be told no. They don't like it when you buck the system. You need to look down at the floor, avert your eyes, speak softly, and only when spoken to. That's it. Forget this crap. And check this out. It says the section of the Customs Act which governs the border inspection reads, no person shall physically or otherwise do or attempt to do any of the following. A, interfere with or molest an officer doing anything that the official is authorized to do under the Act, or hinder or prevent the officer from doing anything that the officer is authorized to do under the Act. It sounds like a pretty blanket statement to me here. So this Canadian clown, this Gestapo agent, tells him, okay, turn your phone on. Okay, my phone's turned on. All right, give me your password for your phone so I can look in it. Piss off. Take off, eh? That's what I got to believe. I got to believe, Jared, that this guy said, take off, hoser. You're not getting my password, hoser. Oh, you're interfering with my official duty, eh? I'm going to lock you up and charge you with molesting a Border Patrol agent. It's like, folks, if you heard this story and thought, well, I just only reasonable. It's only reasonable? What possible information could be in that phone? Is this guy a wanted terrorist? Is he on a terrorist watch list? Is there an arrest warrant out for him? Has he been charged with a crime? Well, no, not until he refused to give his password, eh? And you say, well, this is Canada. It's coming, folks. It's coming here.
Well, we need to be just like Canada.
When we have
we're following their health care, why don't we follow everything else?
Well, when we have Department of Homeland Security people that are trying to force American citizens to open up, to surrender their phones for inspection, piss off. Can I say that on the public hour? I think I can.
Well, I've got a question. If you were traveling across the border and Homeland Security asked you for your phone, would you give it to them, or what would you do?
Are you talking about me rhetorically, or everyone?
Everyone.
Well,
if you can hear my voice, what would you do? Would you give it to them just because that's what's easy to do?
Look at the ground. And this is essentially it, folks. You need to make a decision. You need to make a choice, and it is a choice. Don't ever think that your actions are not a choice. You can either comply or not comply. And if you choose to comply or not to comply, you need to do that based upon understanding information, knowledge, and education, not an emotion. And what I'm going to say to you is, folks, the lesson of the day here is in Canada, they want you to get comfortable with your slave status. Just get comfortable, lean back into your slave status. Life will be much easier for you if you just accept the fact that you are a slave. Be a good little slave, put your head down, don't make eye contact, and speak only when you're spoken to. That is the moral of the story right here. And before we go, I want to ask you this. Why don't people attack Russian ambassadors? Why don't they burn down Russian consulates in foreign countries? What do you think would happen if some whack job, Johnny Jihad or otherwise, decided to attack the Russian ambassador or burn down the Russian consulate? You guys go ahead and take that little nugget with you and think about that until we're back together again tomorrow, because it's time to go. The clock on the wall says that I don't have any more time today. Folks, remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.